Musgrave is a company in which colleagues can learn new skills, take on new roles and responsibilities, and ultimately reach their full potential. Colleagues like Alan Holland, who is a line manager in Musgrave's distribution centre in Cork City.
I've been in Musgrave since 2002. I started on the floor as an assembler, got trained up in different roles throughout the warehouse. I applied for an off support job in 2020. I was successful and I've been a line manager for the last 2 years.
Having spent 17 years as part of a team, leading a team was a new experience for Alan.
When you're managing a team, you have to look down at every avenue, make sure that you're looking after these lads. They're part of your team now, and it's important that I get the most out of the lads. I think we work well together, and I think we're proven to be a very strong team.
And for Alan's colleague Troy, the move has not just been good for Alan, but also for the team.
It's a positive step as well that lads like Alan have stepped up the ladder, and that I know who he is and he knows who we are, and that we all know how the place works together. So I think the transition is just a lot smoother. Everyone understands each other.
Welcome to Growing Good Business, a podcast by Musgrave. I'm Patrick Haughey, and in this episode we will find out how Musgrave enables colleagues to build careers that span a diverse variety of roles and responsibilities, and also how it creates a company culture that allows them to thrive in these roles and do their best work. We'll hear more from Alan Holland and Troy Dorgan, and we're also going to meet some of their colleagues, including Siobhan Scanlon, Early Careers Manager.
Curiosity, growth mindset, looking to get things done. All those kind of areas are things that you would certainly look for people coming into the organisation.
Anne Rigney, Director of Talent, Learning and Development.
If you have the will, we'll develop the skill. So regardless what part of the business you work in, if you have the will and the passion to learn, the interventions are there to help you achieve the highest level of your career possible. And there are so many opportunities across the organisation to achieve that.
And Max Darby, who joined Musgrave 7 years ago through the graduate programme, progressing through to his current role as Senior Data Scientist.
It really was on the graduate programme then for 2 years. I think I really rounded as a human being, someone that could work across intense technical data teams, but also present in front of the business, communicate things in a business-friendly way, and have that appreciation for everything that Musgrave does.
We'll also learn about the power of diversity and why Musgrave works so hard to create teams comprised of all different kinds of people. So let's begin at the very beginning with how Musgrave attracts and finds the right people to work in the right places within the company. Siobhan Scanlon is Musgrave's Early Careers Manager, and she starts by describing how competitive this process can be.
We're not competing necessarily for people who want to work solely in retail. So if you look at our organisation, it's not just people who want to work in retail as buyers, for example. What you would have would be people who may be interested in a career in data science, as I mentioned. They wouldn't necessarily think to look at an organisation and to understand, such as Musgrave, to be able to say, what careers can we have here? But actually, there's really exciting opportunities in areas such as that. We run some of the biggest IT projects in the country, and people don't necessarily understand the size and scale of those opportunities. So it's for us to be able to promote ourselves and to say, actually, you know what, you have those really exciting careers. So when you go to recruit those graduates, you're not necessarily competing with other retailers. You may be, but you're also competing against the likes of the big accountancy firms, the law firms. We've actually had people who've completed law degrees who've come out and worked with us as well. So there's a lot of employers all competing for a relatively small pool of talent. So it's important to be able to stand out and say, actually, you know what, we do offer really good opportunities here. My remit would be really to look at the graduate programme and internships and apprenticeships to be able to say, what are the needs that we have within Musgrave, and how do we then look to bring those right potential and the right people into our organisation who can explore what they want to do with their careers within an organisation such as ours, and to be able to say, okay, I like this, I don't like this, I can see myself building a career in this space, and hopefully then progressing onwards with us.
So tell us a little bit about that graduate programme and the internship programme. What size is it? How often does it run?
Yeah, I might start with the graduate programme. So with our graduate programme, it's been around in a variation of formats since the late 90s. And I've been managing it now myself for the last 9.5 years or so. What it is it's a structured development programme whereby we bring recent graduates into the organisation, into areas such as trading, finance, marketing, supply chain, IT, and they're working on the job. So they're learning from experts in our business. The key focus is the experiential development, but we also give them formal development through a customised programme that we run with a training partner externally. We do systematically take a step back to say, okay, what development are we doing? Are we doing the right things? So it's continuously evolving. But the key tenets of it would be development, and bringing the right people in with that potential to be able to progress within our organisation. And they be that in to future leaders. We've had a number of our directors have come through the graduate programme over the years, or it could be looking to build critical skills. So, for example, in our Insight Innovation team, we have brought in data science graduates, we've brought in IT graduates, supply chain, again, and critical commercial skills in trading, and the likes of that would be very important for us to continue to bring in those early career talent. So it's that graduate recruitment piece. It's also when we look to bring in interns, for example. So an intern is different from a graduate. So what an internship is that where you have a student who's doing an academic course where they may have a cooperative placement of 6 months as part of that, and they would have to spend that with an organisation before going back to finish their degree. So we would have around 40 internships this year, where we would have interns working in the likes of finance and marketing, insight and innovation, in supply chain, and they come in and they have it's their first taste of work really, in that kind of office environment. And they come in, they get an experience, they think they may want to work in retail or wholesale, and they get an opportunity to test that and say, actually, do you know what, I do like this kind of environment, I don't like it. And for us, it's a great opportunity to get a sense of what these students may be capable of, and then if they have that opportunity, then maybe progress in the organisation through the graduate programme. But we have also had people who've come in on an internship as part of a master's, for example, and they've continued on to business roles once they finish their internship. So we have a range of different areas where people can come in from an early careers perspective, which is why it's broader than just the graduates. So the graduates would be a defined programme. Once they have graduated, they apply specifically for the graduate programme. An internship is that set cooperative placement that they would have. And an apprenticeship then would be different again. So an apprenticeship, we have a number of these in our organisation at the moment, and this is a 2-year programme where people can apply for the apprenticeship, and they are in full-time study for a number of months before starting to work with us on a part-time basis to get knowledge of the different areas. So we're running apprenticeships at the moment in areas of IT, logistics, and we also have, from a retail perspective, there's a retail supervisory apprenticeship which is running across our retail partners as well.
So across all of those programmes, you obviously have some sort of a filter. You are looking for, obviously you're not looking for a certain type of person, but are there things you are looking out for that you see in people and go, yeah, I think they will work for our programme, and that person maybe not right now?
Absolutely. I think there's always things that you're going to be looking for, and I think you need to be wary of when you're looking at these things and saying, are they a right fit? And there's always a concern about saying a fit, because that assumes that you're going to make assumptions of getting the same type of people again and again. Whereas when and I think definitely in the last number of years, we're very much focused on, rather than fit in the company, it's more what will they add to the culture in the company. So, but there are certain competencies or skills, I suppose, that you would look at for those people, and things such as curiosity, growth mindset, looking to get things done. All those kind of areas are things that you would certainly look for people coming into the organisation. From an early careers perspective, they're not necessarily going to know how to do the job. In fact, they will very rarely know how to do the job, and that's why they come in early careers pathways, because they want to learn. They want to learn from people in the business, and it's up to us to give them the right development. But as part of that process, we'll say, okay, do they have the right aptitude for this? Do they have the right attitude for this? Looking at those areas such as interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills, you're looking at that kind of the emotional intelligence and those different areas as well. Resilience. And resilience can be built up over time, but being open to making mistakes and picking yourself up. And there was a piece as well, that some advice that Barack Obama recently gave, and it is the ability to get things done. Because ultimately you're here to do a job. And we can have wonderful ideas about explaining what the problem is and explaining what the processes are, and we're brilliant at those things. But ultimately, as Musgrave, we're successful because we get things done. And that's pulling together, be it having to go down and do something that's not normally within your role, but just roll up the sleeves, get involved.
So when a new colleague has joined Musgrave, via the routes that Siobhan has just described, or through the others that exist, the company wants to ensure that their talents are nurtured and developed, and that they can map out a clear career pathway. And that's where Anne Rigney comes in.
Well, I think I have probably one of the best jobs in the organisation, because the Director of Talent, Learning and Development, my role really is to help unlock the potential of the people right across our business, the 41,000 people we have working in all parts of the business, be they in stores, in our warehouses, in our offices, to make sure that we have the right development interventions so they can bring up their best selves to work every single day and continue to achieve the very best and their career aspirations in the organisation through the different programmes, the different interventions, the way we work in Musgrave overall.
It's really interesting that just the way you frame it as in unlock the potential, because it suggests that everybody has a potential. It just needs to be unlocked in whatever way suits them best.
100%. And I suppose the principle very much that we adhere to here in Musgraves is if you have the will, we'll develop the skill. So regardless what part of the business you work, and again, as I say, be it in our stores, in our warehouses, in our offices, in any brand, SuperValu, Centra, Daybreak, wherever it is, that absolutely, if you have the will and the passion to learn, the interventions are there to help you achieve the highest level of your career possible. And there are so many opportunities across the organisation to achieve that. Be you experienced in your career or at very, very early stages of your career, there are development interventions for everybody in all parts of the business. The work is changing and the future work is going to change, but one constant remains, and one constant we absolutely adhere to in the business here is the importance of growing and developing our people, growing and developing our talent. So very much, how we do that is going to evolve as we progress through the years, and is evolving at the moment, to be honest. So people are looking for that kind of career trajectory. They are looking for, when they come into the organisation at a level that they can see the progression rates, they can see different types of career. People now are looking for multiple careers in the one lifetime, and here in this organisation, the breadth and the diversity of career that exists is phenomenal. I don't think it exists anywhere else, only in Musgraves. Everything from your specialist skills, your butchers, your bakers, your drivers, right the way up to the more emerging skills like in data analytics and innovation and digital leadership levels at all parts of the organisation, from supervisory level right the way up to the executive senior leadership positions, or if it's what you want, actually owning and running your own family business in a local community. So there is so many opportunities that exist for people, and learning and development has to evolve. How we actually roll that out has to evolve to ensure we're meeting that need all of the time.
What's the process like? I'm sure now it's wide and complex, but at its core, how do you go about meeting someone or finding someone, unlocking their potential, and how do you unlock their potential?
Yeah. So I suppose lots of what we do, I suppose we do it in a number of different ways. So just talk to you about high level first. Yeah. I suppose how we do it at a very, very high level is we absolutely look at the market dynamics and what's needed in the marketplace. We look at our business strategy, and from the business strategy, the unlocked potential, we'd say, right, what are the skill sets, what are the leadership behaviours that are absolutely needed in our organisation to unlock the full potential of the business. So we'd very much embed kind of what are the learning and development initiatives by looking at the business strategy first and foremost. And from that then, I suppose we put in development interventions. Once we know the leadership requirements that we need, once we know the skill sets that we need, we put in developments at all stages of people's career lifestyle in all parts of the business. So I give an example would be a leadership pathway. We have a leadership pathway now that takes people, if they have the will and the ambition, from the most junior levels of management, supervisory level, right the way up to our executive leadership team. Similarly in stores, when people come into our stores, it's from first line, trainee manager level, right the way up, if they have the will and the desire and the work rate to actually owning their own business in a local community. We have our own bespoke diploma and degree programmes, and what that means is that people can come into our business, work full time, and at the same time earn a recognised qualification in the FETEC framework qualifications, level 8 qualifications. So really, really powerful offering for people that they can come in, do really meaningful, purposeful work, and at the same time gain meaningful qualifications as they do that. And
some of what you described, you actually show them the path to say, like, you do this now, yes, this next, and then you will be there in 5 years, 10 years time. And
absolutely.
Is that very important to show the road?
Totally. And I suppose we do that in a number of ways. And that's what people, I suppose when I say that learning is the importance of growing careers and developing people has always been there. That's a constant regardless of how work changes. But how we do it is changing. So just, to that point, showing people the pathway that's available is really, really important to people now. Giving people recognition for their learning is really important to people now. Giving people bite-sized learning is really important. They don't want to be going on the full-day programmes. They want the 20-minute short, sharp bursts of learning. So just recently, we've invested in a new digital platform, which we're calling the Musgrave Institute, and that's available. It's a digital platform. It's available for all 41,000 colleagues across the organisation. They can log on to this system, get a personalised learning plan, and that's something that people are really, really looking for as well. That shows them the skills and provides them with development for the skills they need in the role now. And once this is fully embedded in the organisation, it will help them to identify if they want to do careers in different parts of the company or different parts of the business at different times. They can actually get development for their career aspirations as well. So that and I suppose investing in a digital platform such as that to develop people's skills is hugely important, because we need to get more agile. We need to get more faster at developing skills, because they're evolving at a rate that we've never seen before. Like if you think of some of the skill shortages we'd see in the business, bakers being one as an example, we saw that there was a shortage of that specialised skill set. We put in place our own Grow Your Own Bakery Academy. It's a 6-month programme that really takes people from knowing nothing about bakery to becoming master bakers at the end of the 6 months, and actually using micro-credentials, which is a new way of recognising learning, was part of the recognition that we gave to people for achieving that level of competence, I suppose, from a bakery perspective. So people go in, they do the learning, and regardless of what it is now, they do want some recognition at the end of it. So, using the kind of bite-sized learning and micro-credentials to certify some of the learning we do, really, really important, and growing in importance in the business also. The amount of experiential learning that you can get in Musgrave is phenomenal. I don't think it exists anywhere else.
So what is experiential learning?
So people learning by doing. Yeah. People learning by doing their job every day, by working alongside maybe more experienced colleagues, by being assigned mentors that they can go to ask questions, to learn in a safe way. Lots of that goes on across the organisation. I think I've done degree, master's programmes. The best learning I've ever got in my career is going out working alongside a retailer, and working alongside a retailer to understand how they do their business, how they motivate their colleagues, how they deliver for their customers. I've learned more from them than I have in any college. So the amount of that exists when you think about the structure, the model of our business here, and the independent retailer nature, and the work they do with their staff, the work they do in their communities is phenomenal. The learning that we get from them every single day by just working alongside them is significant. And as I say, I don't think it exists anywhere else. And I suppose it's important to remember that it's not all about progression to leadership, senior leadership levels. There are people that will have lots of ambition around that, which is brilliant to see. Pipeline's talent, as we said, for the business. But there are also people that want to come in and do really meaningful, purposeful work, very aligned to our strategy of growing good business, and that are really happy in the roles they're in, and actually making sure that we're developing those people to their full potential is as important as anything else in the organisation.
When I visited the Musgrave Distribution Centre in Cork City, I met 2 colleagues who have both been with the company for over 20 years, and they told me about their career journeys within Musgrave and what they like about working here.
Troy Dorgan, and I'm a general operative in Musgraves in the Ambient. We're here about 21 years, and I'm trained up in a number of different roles in the warehouse over the years, but majority of my work would be forklift driver.
So my name is Alan Holland. I'm a line manager in Team 2 in Musgraves in the Ambient warehouse. I've been in Musgraves since 2002. So basically I started on the floor as an assembler, got trained up in different roles throughout the warehouse. The current position I'm in now, I applied for an off-support job in 2020. I was successful, and I've been a line manager for the last 2 years. I was on the floor for, say, 17 years, and then family balance. I have 2 young kids, and my wife was working full-time. Then COVID came, she was able to work from home, which gave me the freedom then to be able to take on more responsibility. And then be able to move up into the management line here.
And have you learned a fair bit about yourself in the new role versus where you were?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, look, self-awareness, I suppose, would be one of the things when you're managing a team. You have to look at down at every avenue, make sure that like you're looking after these lads. They're part of your team now. So yeah, look, my mentality has definitely changed after going into the role.
Yeah, and every team will have a wide variety of personalities, so you need to be aware of that as the lead.
Like you have to manage, you have to manage people, and it's important that I get the most out of the lads. So look, there's going to be different ways of doing that. I think at the moment the lads I have in Team 2, I think we work well together. I think we're proven to be a very strong team.
Yeah. And it's a positive step as well that lads like Alan have stepped up the ladder, in that I know who he is and he knows who we are, and that we all know how the place works together. So I think the transition is just a lot smoother, and it makes a working life day a lot easier as well. That everyone understands each other. Like.
And as well, it's nice to see that if you do want to progress within the company, that's possible. So it's important to see that.
It is. Yeah. No, the same as myself. Like as Alan said, like work-life balance for me, it's at this moment in time it wouldn't be for me to move up the ladder yet. Yeah. But the opportunities are there, so you just need to bide your time and wait till they come around and move on the ladder then as fast as you want, or how little as you want.
And is that something you'd like to do in time?
Maybe in time, like, never say no, like, but at this moment in time, no, like, but I wouldn't say no to it down the road,
You're happy with what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah. That's the key. So far, so good.
What's the part of the job you most enjoy?
To be honest, I'd say coming in, meeting the lads, because when you're on shift, you're like, I'm here 21 years, so I have the same bunch of friends, and I've made good friends in here. So you're off for a couple of days with shift work, and you come back in, then it's all catch up and what did you do for the weekend and stuff. So that's basically the fun part of it. Like
a lot of people here have grown up with each other from in their early 20s to their late 40s. Their families know each other, their kids know each other. So look, it's a great place to work, and it's got a great family environment. I think that spreads out through the warehouse floor then as well. And we actually had one of the lads on Team 2 there. He was there 50 years. Pat Harrington. Wow. That was only a few weeks ago actually. So there was a big hullabaloo, and rightly so, made about it out in the canteen, cakes and a few coffees during working hours. But it was great to see something like that. I don't think you'd see that again in many companies in the country. 50-year service. So that was good.
One of the things that has stood out to me during the recording of this series is the sheer diversity of roles in Musgrave that are available for colleagues to work in. Not only does this provide great opportunities for people to progress upwards into more senior positions and also laterally into new areas that they might be interested in, but it also means that the company can help you find the right career path when you are just starting out and don't know exactly where you want to go. Max Darby was in this position 7 years ago when he first joined Musgrave as an intern. At the time, Max had no idea what he wanted to do career-wise, but the company helped him to discover his talents and put him on a career path that is proving to be very successful. Max explained how this all played out.
From the outside, I don't think a lot of people intuit that there's such a diversity of roles in Musgrave. I also don't think that they understand that Musgrave is a great place to discover your own appetite for different roles. So I would have started Musgrave 7 years ago as an intern, and I would have come in my third year of college, and I genuinely had no idea what I wanted to do, other than I was slightly interested in computers. I was doing digital humanities in UCC, which was a mixture of arts, so I was studying philosophy and computer science, so I had kind of technical skills, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and I came into an internship in Musgrave with their e-commerce team, so working with online shopping, SuperValu online shopping, and then I started working with the analytics team in the e-commerce space, and very quickly found that I just found it fascinating. I found working with data, turning what was just raw numbers coming off of a till, or I suppose it's not constrained to just tills, any of the systems, and converting that into helping people understand what was actually happening and what might happen, and helping correct course. It felt a bit special, It felt like, when you see old explorers navigating by the stars. and they have all these instruments and you have no idea what they're doing. And it's this kind of this kind of skill that helps people find their way. I just found it fascinating. So I did that for a year. I was fortunate enough then to stay on a part-time role through my final year. So I went back to college and finished my degree. And then I suppose I had to decide whether or not I was going to keep pursuing this in a job role or kind of go into the graduate program, which would have been a bit more rounded. I was fortunate enough at the time to have a very honest, and I suppose that's something I've encountered a lot in Musgrave, is honest management and leadership. I was very fortunate to have a very honest leader that effectively said I was great with coding and programming and good at thinking for myself, but I didn't know anything about business at all. I suppose I would have grown up not really thinking that there was anything to business. You just wore a suit and you turned up. And I really didn't have that appreciation, and I was very fortunate that they identified that kind of weakness in me, didn't judge me for it or deprive me of anything for it, but actually encouraged me to work on it. So I went into the graduate program. I thought I'd just wander in because I already worked there, but I still had to go through what was a very thorough assessment centre. It really was on the graduate program then for 2 years. I think I really rounded as a human being, especially as someone that could work across intense technical data teams, but also present in front of the business, communicate things in a business-friendly way, and I suppose at the kind of highest level, empathise with the business, empathise with retailers that, we're out there actually working on the floor and have that kind of appreciation for everything that Musgrave does, not just its data. During those 2 years, the amount of support and compassion that I got from the people in Musgrave was just, I do think it made me the person that I am today, the person that tries to try and share that compassion back to everyone that I meet. And then I would have come out of the graduate program, and again, we would have just started building the analytics team. We were a small outfit, but we were small but mighty, I think we referred to it at a couple of points. That was when I became a data scientist. I continued my studies, so I'm still pursuing a PhD, which again Musgrave fully supported and are continuing to support. And there's always both financially but also time and consideration. So, they give me the time to work on it, and they see the value in the stuff that I research to do with AI and stuff like that. Even though it might not be here yet, they have the vision that that it will be a worthwhile investment. So, and again, it's just touching back to just that continuous investment in people. So I've been with that team since. We've grown significantly. I'm now a senior data scientist with that team. We've got a great head of analytics. We've got 2 other senior data scientists on the team, which are just phenomenal, and really has been kind of going great since then. But it was by no means an easy road, but made an awful lot easier by the people that I was on it with.
As part of his role, Max has become very involved with the creation of a data academy within Musgrave, which aims to build awareness and knowledge of data and the role it can play across the company. He describes what the Data Academy is all about.
So about, I'd say a year ago, we really identified a need for data literacy kind of across the company. So obviously people work with data all day, every day. We're well used to it, but we probably weren't operating all on the same page with regards to how to go about gaining insight from data. And this is everything from senior leaders asking questions of analysts or data scientists, and then also from the data scientists that might have previously trained as accountants or something like that, having some kind of core skills like that. So what we did is we worked with leading institutions in the area. So I would have consulted a lot with people that would have worked on generating EU regulations around and frameworks around data, a lot of colleagues in UCC and Trinity. And once we kind of drawn out a framework for what the Data Academy was going to be, we engaged with the Analytics Institute as our kind of training partner for it. We've had about 70 colleagues pass through the Data Academy now. And what we found is it's really created a common language that they can speak and they can work together on data projects. So it isn't this top-down questions land down at the bottom with the analysts and they go off and squirrel away at a computer and come back with some kind of numerical output, but rather that it's a collaborative experience between everyone in the company, and the product is all the better for it. The senior leaders and the key influencers in the company know what's going to be important, and the analysts then have the skills to be able to pull that together from a technical perspective. And it's fantastic to have people operating on the same page now, and there's a marked difference, I feel, in the quality of output because of it. We intend to roll it out in different guises across every single colleague in the company, all the way up to we're designing one for the executive team because they have as much to learn about how to use data efficiently and effectively as everyone else. It's a new realm. It's a new era of running a business, and you have to understand it. And we can't expect people to just grasp it themselves. We have to help them on the way.
One of the things that is very important to Musgrave is not just finding the right people for the right roles, but also creating a culture of diversity and inclusion. Anne Rigney explains why.
That whole, developing a more inclusive and diverse culture across Musgrave is really important. It's an integral part of our people strategy. Because we have 78 different types of nationality working across the business. They all bring different skill set, different ideas, different sense of perspective, and we always aspire to making sure that the organisation is becoming more and more and more inclusive and diverse. A great example of that is the ERGs, employee resource groups that we have in operation right across the organisation. There are 6 of them in total, crossing different focus areas from disability, gender, LGBTQ+, multi-generational, culture and heritage. There are about 200 people sitting across those 6 ERGs, and they are people that look at different agenda points, be it on sustainability, be it on disability, be it on gender, and look at what the organisation is doing and suggest ways that we can become better and better. And that's a form of learning in itself, but actually having a more inclusive and diverse organisation helps us to achieve our overall business strategy of being a world-class food and beverage organisation. It keeps us nimble, it keeps us agile, it keeps us really sharp on making sure that we are achieving the right offering for the diverse customer profile that we have.
During the recording of this series, I have met a lot of colleagues who have spent the majority of their career working with Musgrave. In fact, some have been here from the very start of their career journey. So what is it about the company that makes people decide to stay? Max Darby, Siobhan Scanlon and Anne Rigney share their perspectives.
There's one other moment that really stands out, and I think it touches on when I effectively had huge imposter syndrome. I've been kind of battling with it for a month or so, and eventually I went up to HR with the intent of handing in my notice because I effectively felt I shouldn't be there, that I was squandering a place on a graduate programme that someone else would absolutely adore. I didn't know what I was going to do instead, but I thought that someone else should have it instead of me. And I remember talking to June up in HR and basically saying this to her. And I just remember she just stopped me and she's like, "Look, Max, you're not on the graduate programme because you're a data analyst or a data scientist or anything to do with that. You're on the graduate programme because you're Max. And we want you here." And it really taught me a lot about the attitude in Musgrave, which is they care about people for who they are, not the title that they have. And that brings out a lot of kind of authenticity in the company, I think. And it's something that's hard to find elsewhere.
I think Musgrave for me is a business that gets under your skin for the right reasons. There's a thriving culture here and the people make it. Absolutely, the people make it. And that type of uniqueness of person that really cares about the colleague working alongside them, that really cares about the business, that really cares about the brands and the communities we operate in. There's something really powerful about working alongside people like that are really committed and courageous to make the right decisions for themselves, for the areas that they work in, and make a marked difference in our business and in the markets every single day.
If I were to think about what I love most about Musgrave, it's a cliche, but it's the people. The intention is always good. People always want to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing by our customers, they want to do the right thing by our retail partners, they want to do the right thing by the people who work here. People can show up and be themselves, and they can be their full selves, and they can feel like they're making a difference. When I'm having a good day, it's usually because I feel that I've been able to make a difference, that I'm doing some work of value. I think that's an important piece for me, to feel that my job has meaning.
Thanks to everyone who took part in this episode, and thanks to you for listening. Please do follow the show and give it a rating or review. And if you know someone who might enjoy the series too, then please let them know about it. And I hope you can join us on the next episode of Growing Good Business.